Hey, I'm Anne, owner of Champagne and Stars Event Decor. Welcome to And I Like Large Parties. Join me as I chat with amazing women business owners in the events industry, some that I've worked with and some that I can't wait to work with. We'll be sipping cocktails while discussing their passions, hurdles, and accomplishments. You're going to love it. Thanks for listening. Okay, so today I am so happy to be sitting down with Sherrerd Steele. She is the owner of Steele Orchid. She is a floral design genius, and I had the opportunity to work with her about a year ago on a styled shoot, and I am just so thrilled to see her again. And thank you for deciding to, accept my invitation and come on.
Of course. Thank you, Anne-Marie, for even considering having me.
Yeah. Okay, so today we are having, instead of gin and juice, we're having a mocktail. It's a ginger and juice, and it looks delicious. I'm going to take a sip in a moment. All right, she's going to take a sip. Let's see. Oh, it's delicious.
Delish.
It's delish. Okay. So at the end of the podcast, I typically ask my guests to come up with the name of a signature drink, or it could be alcoholic, non-alcoholic, whatever you prefer. But I want you to think about, how would the name of the signature drink, how does it exemplify you or some aspect of your business? So I'll let you think about that, and then we'll circle back at the end.
Perfect.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so why don't you just start by telling us a little bit about yourself and get into how you started this fabulous business?
So I am by schooling, an engineer and geologist.
Oh.
I had a environmental consulting company for 25 years, which only employed women geologists and engineers. They were all super smart. And what we used to do is do environmental assessments of commercial and industrial properties.
Okay.
Our main clients were banks, law firms, insurance companies, and the like. And how I evolved from that business, which I just sold 2 months ago, to another engineering companies, so I could devote myself full time, to Steele Orchid. So how I evolved is kind of a roundabout way in the regards that my mom was an award-winning floral designer.
Wow.
She was kick-ass. She was great. She would win the top awards in the Philadelphia Flower Show every year. Growing up, I actually thought she was crazy. She would go into her workroom and play with flowers all day, and I'd be like, oh my goodness. And so, but fast forward, she died at a young age, unfortunately, but her flower spirit literally came to me. And I started dabbling with flowers, started dabbling with gardening. And what I mean by dabble, I would make arrangements for people's parties or prom bouquet flowers for local neighborhood girls.
Wow.
So my son then approached me, my oldest son, and asked me, can you do my wedding for our florals? And I went, wedding? Never done a wedding. Okay. And that actually came with a lot of challenges in the regards that it was in Pittsburgh, wasn't even local, and it was 250 people. So there was it was a lot of moving parts. I had the time.
And you're the mother of the groom.
And mother of the groom.
So there's that.
So I had the time of my life, and I literally turned to my husband and I said, this is what I meant to do. So that was in late 2019. 2020, COVID came, but COVID was perfect for me in the respect that once I made a decision that I was going to go forward with doing flowers full time, that I could hone my craft.
Yeah.
Could figure out my business model, could figure out what my plan was. And so it was a great time to really pause and really work on a business plan.
Yeah.
And that's how it came to be. And fortunately for me, I was able to find somebody to sell the other company to. So now I'm full steam ahead.
That is fantastic. Congratulations.
Yay!
I'm so happy for you.
Yay!
The bit about COVID hitting, just so many people I know that I've spoken to and that I've met in the events industry, and I'm sure the same is true for you, they already had their businesses. And so when COVID came, it really just, it affected everything for them. So like you, I feel like my story is a little similar in that I decided to start my business in 2019. COVID gave me the opportunity to gather the inventory and just really get myself together. And then when things were lifted, I was ready to go. So that's a experience that we have in common.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So I want you to talk to me about your inspiration because, obviously I follow you on Instagram and some of the things that you are doing, it's wild and it's gorgeous. It's different than anything that I'm seeing out there. How do you get the inspiration for these arrangements that you make?
So whenever I undertake anything, I want to be totally different from everybody else. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of really good florists out there, truly in the Philadelphia area. But I needed something to set myself apart. And so I'm always looking for things that will distinguish Steele Orchid from your neighborhood florist. So I'm looking to do the things that nobody else is doing or nobody else is conceived of. Okay, let's flower the side of a building. Let's figure out how to get flowers on a model, so she can model these tattoos. Yeah. Or big floating dance floors. Or this week we're going to be doing Porsches at the Kimmel Center.
Wow.
Porsche is Porsche is the sponsor of the Best of Style party at the Kimmel Center. And we were tasked with flowering the Porsches and not just, putting some flowers by the wheels.
Sure.
We are going to kick ass and make, floating flowers, making it look like the Porsches are going fast. And so
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. Yeah. So talk to me about your team. Who is helping you with all of this? Is it you? How many people do you have working for you, with you?
So we have a wonderful designer who's working hand in hand with me, side by side. Her name is Suki Park, and she is classically trained. She not only in European style, but Asian style and American style.
Sure.
Whereas I'm more kind of not classically trained. I'm like more, all right, what are the rules? Well, let's break them.
Right.
Type of thing.
Yeah.
And that has served me well. For Suki, she kind of grounds me because I am always thinking, we could do this and this and this and this. And she's like, all right. Yeah. But my engineering background really, really helps me to be able to put a flower anywhere. Unlike my competitors who are more... they are a little bit more comfortable working in a vase instead of on the top of a ceiling.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
but I'm so sorry.
No.
But other parts of my team.
Yes.
We do have weekend warriors that help out with our events.
Okay.
And my weekend warrior, the best weekend warrior is my husband.
Yeah.
He is... my wonderful...
I've met him. He's such a great guy.
Oh my God. He is my, he does what I say, and it allows me to be able to kick ass in this field. I mean, he really is the best support. And then we also have teams that go in on game day. And when I say game day, I'm talking about the big events, such as the weddings and Kimmel Centers and parties and what have you.
Absolutely. So I've met your husband, and I have one as well. Just always supportive. What do you need? Boots on the ground. He's also my engineer. I do not have an engineering background. I was a teacher. So I come up with a creative idea. I go to my husband and say, I want to build this. And he's the one that has to remind me of, just physics and center of gravity and those kinds of. So that's amazing that you have that engineering background. So you've got the creativity and you've got the engineering background to actually, see things through. With me, sometimes I need to be reeled in because I'm looking to do something that's just not physically possible.
Yes. Anne-Marie, that's not going to work.
Yeah, I definitely need that. That's so true. Where do you get your flowers?
So, interestingly enough, because I didn't know anything about this business, I knew nothing about the business. I had to learn how to where to get flowers.
Yeah.
How to preserve them so that when the clients get their flowers, they're not.
Yeah.
How to arrange, like some stems need, when they're cut, they need to be burnt at the bottom so that their sap doesn't leak out and into the arrangement. So there's care for each single stem. I didn't really know the difference between a dahlia and a daisy. Again, I had to learn everything about the business. And particularly, I had to learn about the ins and outs of perishability because, you can't make a flower arrangement a week ahead to plan for. You've got to be making them 2 days the day of or 1 day before.
Right.
So anyway, what was the question? I know I'm getting to it.
Where do you get your flowers?
Okay, where do I get my flowers? So I have since learned that we get flowers via the wholesaler who has connections to a lot of farms in Central America and in the United States. But I have also since learned that there are so many wonderful flower farms right here in Chester County. And a lot of these flower farms are women owned, and I love to support them.
Yeah.
And usually the flowers are much more delicate. They don't have as long as shelf life as the stuff that's coming out of Central America because obviously you've got the time from you cut them, pack them, ship them, going through customs, no water for 5 days, and then the client gets them. So, so the flowers grown in Chester County are a little bit more delicate and not as hardy as what's grown internationally. But I like to use as much local stuff as possible. And I do a lot of foraging too. And I think my designs are so different and definitely including elements that are not typically included. I'll go into my backyard. I'll go into the neighbor's yard. I will go into the other neighbor's yard and forage for stuff that really would provide that wow factor.
Yeah. The day that we did the styled shoot in your yard, I remember there were, and forgive my ignorance because I know nothing about flowers, there were these beautiful little brown, wispy, fall-looking stems. And I remember you and Suki picking a few of those and adding those to the vase of pampas. And I thought, wow, that was so cool.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Improvise and always, it's always like, okay, that doesn't work. Go, just do.
Absolutely.
Don't ponder.
So I have had the pleasure of seeing the marvelous workspace that you have at your home. Can you talk to me about how that came to be?
Yes.
Okay.
So we had originally thought we were going to be in a warehouse.
Okay.
That was pre-COVID. And then COVID hit, obviously changed the business model, changed a lot of things. And then I got this brilliant idea. Well, let's convert our 3-car garage into a 0-car garage so that we can now really, really work in this studio. And it's a beautiful studio. We've completely pinched out my family. I mean, my husband has a little teeny closet, but that's it. And then, so the workspace is dying. Just so great.
It's gorgeous. It was definitely one of the things when I came here that I was just in awe of. And I remember taking a video and showing my husband, because I work out of my home. And so, much like you, I've taken over the basement completely, except for the gym. My son and my husband like to work out, so I can't touch that little room. But I've taken over all of the basement. And the garage is where I do a lot of my refinishing. So I'm so envious that you have this space. I have to pull the cars out, or if the cars are not in the driveway, just by happenstance, it's amazing because I feel like I have a space. So you have an enviable workspace in that garage area, and it's stunning.
One of these days, I'm going to move my bed down there.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
Yeah. So you've already had a business before starting Steele Orchid. But different. Steele Orchid is definitely different. What are some things about being in this floral design industry that maybe you weren't anticipating when you started?
That's interesting. I'd say the biggest challenge that I had starting this was I had to learn everything. One of the things that really helped me was during COVID, I found a master, and I studied under her for 3 months because I needed internal validation. I knew I was good, but I wanted to make sure I was good. And so that really, I knew that I had to educate myself. I was educated in the other business by schooling and, of course, 35 years of being in the environmental industry. Yeah. This one, I was such an infant, and YouTube, books, anything, immerse myself. But I think owning a business previously really gave me the confidence to say, well, I did it then. Why can't I do it?
Yeah, why not?
Why not? I don't know a thing about flowers, but why not? And, a lot of the management principles, organization, were translatable. Sure. But it's just been being a businesswoman. I wasn't afraid to spend money. Yeah. And I wasn't afraid to take risks. That's what helped me.
Okay. So what are you enjoying most about this business, being in this business?
It's not work. Oh. I wake up every morning, and if it's a design day, I'm like, woo! And it truly brings me 100% joy. Whereas the other business, if a client's calling, I'm like, why are you calling? I don't want to do geology and engineering anymore. Yeah. But so my passion, this is right now, it's fun as hell. And I'm meeting great people, great industry leaders. I'm meeting, just so fun.
You're having a good time.
Oh, totally. And to be able to kind of use the other side of my brain, whatever side, left, right, I don't know what it is. It is just so, who wouldn't have fun creating every day? Yeah. And making money of it too.
Right. Doing something you love, being creative and making money. That's so true. Perfect.
That was the scariest part, though, is I used to get a steady paycheck, and now that steady paycheck is not there. So I got to kick it kick it into gear, and make sure that I can now sustain, a salary taken from it. Yeah. So it's not a side hustle anymore. It is now a hustle.
That's right. Yeah. So it sounds like with this Kimmel Center event, this is going to be huge. And I can't wait to see what you do. Talk to me about maybe another event that you've done, and you just had to really knock it out of the park, and you made some kind of floral display that you're just really super proud of.
There's a couple, and I can't narrow it down to one, but one of the things that I had just mentioned was a bride wanted an archway on the side of a building. I'm like, okay, you've come to the right person. I'll figure it out. Yeah. And we ended up constructing with the use of chicken wire, zip ties, whatever, to make this archway. And it was 22 feet wide and 11 feet tall on either side. And it took over, I think it was 1,500 stems of white flowers.
Wow.
As well as many, 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 many trips to forage to get greens.
Sure.
And many boxes coming from wild smilax, which is a type of vine that we use in our beautiful, it provides wonderful lines, but greenery. Okay. And it lasts outside of water.
Oh.
So we did this display, and I'm telling you, my mission is each and every bride who goes into their event to go, oh my God, that's the reaction we want to have each and every time. So when the guests came in to this archway on the side of the building on the exterior, and it was 95 degrees that day. Took 3 days to construct.
Oh.
First day, the actual armature with the chicken wire. The second day, greening it up. And then the third day, putting in the blooms. We were nervous that the blooms would wilt. So we had hoses out there spraying them right before the ceremony.
Yeah.
But when the bride walked down the aisle, she was like, oh my God, I've never... Never.
Success.
Yeah. So that's one example of the stuff that we do.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So what are some of the core values that you think Steele Orchid as a business embodies?
I treat my brides and my customers the way I would want to be treated. And I have no hesitation to say, oh, no. I don't think you want that. Let's don't spend your money there. So I think that I bring honesty.
Yeah.
And the other values is I am a hustler.
Yeah.
Hustle. And I'll do anything and everything to make that event just perfect. We're not a dump and run florist. We're there until everything is perfect.
Yeah.
Other core values. Just hustle, and work really hard to make sure that it's the vision that we're presenting is the vision that we were tasked to do.
Absolutely. So it sounds like in working with florals, there are some inherent challenges, what I'm hearing you say. So aside from those challenges that you're having just in the actual dealing with the flowers, what are some challenges that you're facing in this business? Well, if there are any.
Yeah, it's transportation.
Yeah.
And perishability.
Yeah.
Is timing of when you're getting your flowers, timing of when you're making your flowers, trying not to get a divorce from your husband when you're loading the trucks, trying not to get a divorce when you're unloading the trucks.
Yes.
I tell you, that is, I cannot watch anymore. I cannot watch when the flowers are going into the trucks.
Okay.
It's just best for me not to be there. And really transporting it from point A to point V. So nothing is falling, nothing is tipping, nothing is wilting, nothing that with a highly perishable thing that we're dealing with, that is the biggest challenge, I think.
Yeah. A lot of logistical challenges there. So what is the process? How does someone contact you, and how do you go from that first initial contact to them having that, oh my gosh moment when they walk in?
So let's take, for example, a wedding. Usually the brides, get their venue, get their dress, and then they come and get their florist. And we're talking about a year to a year and a half prior to the event.
Yeah.
So I like to tell my brides that they've got their flower mom for a year and a half or a year. We are working through every little decision that the bride is making, the color of the tablecloths, to match the florals, the what about this? What about that? And so we are involved in a lot of their daily decisions, even though it's not floral related. But we want to make our flowers shine as great as possible. So if there is a teal tablecloth and the florals are teal, not going to look good. So anything to elevate my flowers, of course I'm going to provide that service.
Yeah.
we develop playbooks, which I was an athlete growing up, so I understand the word playbook. So let's just say the Eagles are playing. They've got their game plan for that Sunday.
Right.
We have our game plans for each event that we do.
Okay.
And that translates, every floral area we are touching, every moment, I call it an arrangement, a moment, every moment that we are doing, from the cake flowers, from each tablescape, to the candle frequency, to where we put the bud vases and what they look like, that is captured in our playbook. And the visual for the bride, she knows what stems we're using, what color stems we're using, how many in each floral moment. So we have a recipe for each and every thing that we're making. We can't make something without a recipe, because how can you order?
Right.
Just like making cookies. You need to know, I need a cup of flour. Just the same way that I need to know, how many stems of roses do I need? How many? And so before we're even at game day, we need to know, put in our flower order a month in advance. And I need to know what my recipes are for each thing that we touch. And these playbooks are wonderful for the brides who are not visual brides, to see their day unfolding before it unfolds.
Yeah.
So that, I hope, was a circuitous route to answer your question.
Yes. So when you present them let me back up. So someone comes to you, sometimes they have an idea of what they want. It sounds like sometimes they need a little help.
Yes.
And that, I would imagine that's where you come in. Hey, did you think about these colors? Or do you feel that your clients, I'm sure you enjoy it the most when you have that freedom, but do you think that most of your clients come to you with the intent of giving you that freedom to create their floral designs, or do they have very specific ideas about what they want and they're pretty rigid in that?
That is a great question, because I get brides who know exactly what they want. They've been dreaming of this day since they were 10 years old.
Yeah.
And they know, they have a picture in their mind what the day is going to look like. They know the flowers. They have elaborate Pinterest boards.
Yeah, always.
Yes. And they know the palettes, and they know what the girls' dresses are going to look like, and the suits. And that's wonderful when the brides know what they want. Sometimes with the flowers, I have to make some suggestions, say, hey, let's swap out here and here. Let's introduce a little color here. But then again, the other brides who have not visualized it in their mind come to me as a blank slate and say, here's this space. What would you do with it? I love that. I love both ways. And I love the brides that actually trust me and say, okay, I've seen your work. I know what you can do. Create something for me. Now, if their budgets allow, I'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah. That was going to be my next question. So when folks come to you and you work up whatever it is that they were looking for, or they've given you the autonomy to come up with a design, when you sit down to talk price, do you find that, now obviously this is not for everyone, but how do you handle those situations where there's an element of sticker shock?
Yeah. Usually prices that people have a very hard time dealing with that, and didn't want to offend anybody, or I don't want to talk about money. I don't, you know what? Yeah. I've been in business. I have to haggle. And so I have no troubles talking about price, but where we have evolved is we now have a minimum, because I cannot produce the look that I want for that wow factor for less than. I get this call all the time. Hi, Sherrerd. Hi, Steele Orchid. We are having 300 at our wedding. We have 10 in our bridesmaids and 10 groomsmen. And I want an archway, and I want this, and I want that. And our budget is 1,000. Well, it's not going to work.
Nope.
Not going to work. So our budgets or our minimums now are 6,000, but our average wedding is over 10 at this point in time. The master that I studied under, her floral budgets start at 50.
Wow.
Yeah. I want to be in that arena.
Yeah.
I want to be in the high end luxury.
Yeah.
While I'm getting my feet wet and learning and doing, we can produce a beautiful wedding for 10. And flowers are a luxurious item.
Yeah.
And a lot of people can't afford that.
Yeah.
So, Steele Orchid is not for everybody.
That's
and,
right.
I'm not going to lessen my look because this is my report card. Most of my clients, for each event that we have, I will get 2 weddings from.
Okay.
And so this is your
portfolio.
It is my portfolio.
Your live portfolio.
And I gotta make it good because if I want 2 weddings from that one wedding, it's gotta be good.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm finding with my own business, just I'm very transparent about the pricing of items on my website. I wasn't always like that, but just I've learned over the last few years that it's easier to just, this is the price and it saves time. So if someone knows, okay, this couch is $125 and they already know that that's not something they want to spend, it saves me time from them contacting me for a quote and then me having to tell them it's $125 and them say, oh, it's not within my, but the delivery piece is the challenge that I'm having right now, giving people the quote for delivery because it's not, I don't think people understand, like you were just talking about the logistics, which is far greater of an issue for you with flowers. I don't mean to make a direct comparison, but just the logistics of the truck and your time and loading, and it's a lot. So I know for me, that's a challenge I'm having in my businesses, just the price conversation, the budget conversation, and getting people to realize, like you said, things cost money.
Yep.
And, it just is what it is. And sometimes we're just not the right fit.
Exactly.
I like the way that you put that.
We're not for everybody.
Yeah.
And we go into each conversation by saying our minimum is this.
Yeah.
And that usually weeds them out because, they know what their budgets are. Up here. A lot of people don't have a budget, or it's an educational process. People with that particular incident that I explained about the bride saying, I have 300 people with 10 and 10 and this
$1,000 budget
and $1,000. They have no idea how much one stem costs. One stem. Wholesale, $5.
Yeah.
How am I going to do a wow factor by doing that whole wedding? You can't.
Sure.
You cannot do it. And I've actually said to people, I think you're better off. Don't do it. Because if you're going to do it half-assed, it looks worse than nothing.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. Well, that's nice that you have those honest conversations and try to steer them in a direction that works for them.
Yep.
For sure.
Yep.
Talk to me about your favorite flowers. So what are some of your favorite flowers?
I have my favorite spring flowers and I have my favorite fall flowers.
Okay.
So peonies, love them. In my yard, I have 3 generations of peonies.
Wow.
I have my husband's grandmother's peonies, my grandmother's peonies, my mother's peonies, and peonies that I've planted. So I've got a lot of different generations. I love, love, love the smell. Sometimes they're too heady for people, but they're the ultimate ruffle and ultimate, love them. I love tulips. So many unique varieties of tulips. And I'm not just talking about the tulips that we might find in everybody's yard. These are really, really unique tulips.
Okay.
And I love to reflex my flowers. If you, I wish I had a bloom here that I could show you, but I reflex my flowers, and that is physically manipulating the petals of flowers so that they're open. So instead of tulip being like this with all their, I reflex them so you can see the interesting innards and the petals themselves. I do that a lot with roses as well.
Okay.
So on game day, your flowers are at the peak of their shine. So that's my spring flowers. My fall flowers, dahlias, no question about it. Oh, dahlias. So
Nice. It's great when things go really well for, at an event. Talk to me about a time when something went wrong. I mean, have you ever had a panic moment? Flowers didn't come in or you didn't have enough? How do you pivot in those situations?
great question as well. A lot of the planning that we do up front really eliminate that. The recipes that we have, really will always over order, but you don't want to over order too much because that's your profit right there.
Right.
You obviously a disaster would be an under order. But luckily there are enough sources locally that we can just run out and give me something to fill it. We have a contract with our brides that gives us creative license to substitute flowers that might not, that they wanted a dahlia. They wanted a white dahlia to be in their bouquet. And if we couldn't get it, or if they looked like crap the day I received them, then we are allowed to make substitutions.
Okay.
So has there been a shit show? Actually, I think the playbook tells us everything that we have to do.
Yeah.
So we're not forgetting anything game day. We're not, so luckily I can't tell you any of the major awfulness that we've had.
Well, that's okay. I mean, what I'm hearing is that you're really well prepared.
Well, we have to be.
And that's, that I feel like right there, that's a really great piece of advice for entrepreneurs, not just in your business, but just in general, to really just plan well and be efficient. And then the execution is easier that way.
Well, this software that we have that generates the playbooks, it has been an invaluable tool for me to keep organized. Otherwise, there's no way I could do it. Because if we're dealing with thousands per event, thousands of different stems, to keep track of what I need, where I need it, and there's no way. And there's a lot of other moving parts. Where are my containers?
Sure.
The materials. That's all in the playbook. Yeah. And it's fabulous. So if I died tomorrow, anybody could take that playbook and recreate it.
I don't know about that. I don't know about
Suki's
that.
pretty good. Suki's pretty good.
Yeah.
My husband, not so much.
Not so much. Yeah. As far as the vases and containers, do you have all of that? Is that something you keep in-house?
Depending on the event.
Okay.
If we're doing an event, an Art Deco event in New Jersey coming up, and I've had to procure really Art Deco vases, I wouldn't necessarily have that.
Yeah.
But we do keep standard vases.
Sure.
Gold, silver, real silver, not silver plate, white. And those I recycle. My environmental background in sustainability, I really don't like throwing away a lot of stuff. So I like reusing some of the stuff. And COVID totally messed up the supply chain. So it was really hard to get vases. Yeah. So it allowed me to learn, okay, well, we got to reuse this. And we rent a lot of our stuff to our clients.
So when you're looking for something in particular, a particular style vase, where do you go to find? Are you going to thrift, antique stores? Where do you look?
That's a great question, too. We have this place in Malvern. You really need to know about this.
Okay. Called
Dish Functional.
Oh, I love the name.
It is the bomb. If I need silver, or let's just say chrome oblong bowls, excuse me, that I am trying to get a particular look, it's the first place I look.
Okay.
Is Dish Functional. And they have procured all of their stuff through estate sales. So really nice stuff. Yeah. So I'll use Revere bowls, which are $80, $90 online, $5 a piece.
That's awesome.
And it's a present within the present.
Yeah.
Once the arrangement's done, you've got this beautiful bowl.
That's right.
So Dish Functional in Malvern.
I'm going to have to check it out.
Great resource.
Yeah, thank you. So you mentioned that for, every event you're getting 2 potential bookings from that, 2 referrals from that. How are people finding you? Is it through referrals, you think? Is that how you're getting most of your business? Is it Google? Is it Instagram?
Not Google. I am a fanatic about Instagram.
Okay.
And I think that is my target audience is 25 to 35. My next group is the age group after that, 35 to 45. And then it really falls off. So I need to target my marketing strategy to my audience. Instagram. I don't really do TikTok, and I really have to start doing TikTok because a lot of the brides are shopping through TikTok.
Okay.
Don't know how they're doing that, but Instagram is a really great way to showcase what we're all about. So we're doing a lot of that. Doing a lot of networking and events. I am exploring right now having social influencers wearing our product, wearing our tattoos. Yeah. We have an upcoming event where we are outfitting not only the editor-in-chief in a floral tattoo for the event, where thousands of people will be, but also we will have models in the audience wearing our florals. So hopefully that's going to create a buzz and people say, where are those florals from? Yeah, Steele Orchid. That's right. Steele Orchid. Steele Orchid. I do a lot of self-promotion. I'm not afraid to ask for a follower. And just this, networking this way is invaluable.
Definitely.
So how do you get your...
a lot of Instagram. Sometimes I'll get DMs and I'll say, well, let's carry on the conversation in email because DMs they're difficult. They get lost. Sometimes I don't see them, but a lot of it is referrals and Google. Since I've changed my website, I moved to a different platform. I'm seeing when I look at the analytics, I'm seeing more hits, more people are finding me.
Really?
So that's always a help. But a lot of it is word of mouth. I find. I mean, it's really important. And like you said, networking. I know someone who knows someone that does this. So all of that is really helpful. Speaking of exposure, I saw that you were on Channel 6. Yep. Can you talk to us about that?
Sure. It was a really fun experience. Channel 6 came to our workroom. They wanted to see a demonstration of how we actually use local flowers and how we put these things together. But also, they wanted to see what exactly was involved in floral tattoos.
Yeah.
And what floral tattoos are, they are actually fresh flowers applied to the skin via tape underneath. So we apply on a very micro level, very small flowers to KT tape, which is kinesiology tape, which is the athletes
right, yes.
So we will, depending on if somebody says, I have an event at the Met, and I'm wearing a black dress and I'd really like to accentuate my shoulders, we will design customly a free form floral tattoo to go with the dress. So let's just say she wanted her shoulders done. We might do an epaulette here and here and then snaking down the arm. It's very labor intensive making these tattoos in the regards that we're dealing with micro. If we just say hydrangea, that's a big head, but we take it apart and we use each petal.
Wow.
And that's the micro that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for anything that's unique. When somebody is looking at your arm, they're saying, look at that. We see little balls in there. Where are those balls from? And it could be pokeweed or a leaf from Pachysandra or something like that. Now, what we're doing for the this upcoming event, one of the models, who she is an influencer, she is wearing a tight dress, green, short, with ruffles on the sides. And it's green because she has 2 events. One, this party, but also Eagles game.
Okay.
So she wants a green and white tattoo that not only matches her dress, but is also a nod to the Eagles.
Okay.
So we're doing green and white for her.
Cool. Yeah. I saw at some point a while back, you had posted this stunning picture of, it was a floral bra, essentially. And I guess the process is similar.
Totally similar.
Okay, yeah.
Similar. Yeah, but all we're looking for is a medium for the flowers to stick onto.
Yeah.
We could stick it directly onto the fabric.
Right.
But it works best if I put the KT tape on where we're sticking it and put on the flowers. I think what you're referring to.
It was strapless. I think it was just.
It was a bustier.
Yes, it was. Yes, and it was amazing.
Yes.
It was gorgeous.
And trying to convince people to wear that, it's a little hard sell.
Sure.
Because that's more New York and California than Philadelphia. And so we're trying to retrain the marketplace.
Yeah, it was gorgeous. I loved it. So what are some pieces of advice that you would give to particularly women getting into the events industry? I mean, specifically, you're a floral designer. So if you want to make sure that your advice is pointed toward getting into that vein of the events industry, that's fine. But what are some, you just feel like, invaluable pieces of information that you could pass on as being, I mean, this is your second successful business. So I feel like you would be a really great person to answer that question. What are some pieces of advice for these women?
Don't be afraid. I think you see a lot of florists out there that are producing the same thing time and time again, and it's comfortable doing that. You've got to not be afraid to take a risk, and a calculated risk. Because if your risk to do a dance floor for a wedding was totally, you didn't try it out beforehand, that would be a friggin' disaster on game day.
Yeah.
But take a risk. And, never up, never in. You really, if a bride wants this, let's do it. Let's say yes, and we'll figure it out as we go along. I think confidence is everything. And if you are confident and carry your shoulders back and your tits up, I always say to you, that is my motto.
I saw that on your website and I love it.
To you is, if you're down and out, it shows. If you're confident and your tits are up, wow, I want to work with her.
Yeah.
And I think going into a crowded room when you don't know anybody and just exude yourself with that confidence and say, hi, I'm Sherrerd Steele. I'm from Steele Orchid. I'd love for you to follow me, and create a buzz. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are afraid of the no. You know what? That just brings me closer to the yes. If I get your no, I'll get her yes.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. So what's next for Steele Orchid? I mean,
I'm just starting.
Are you?
I'm just starting.
But the business is going so well. So what is next for you?
I want people to, how there's iconic names in the industry, and the names. I want people to be able to say, all right, I've got my venue, I've got my dress. I got to lock in Steele Orchid because before she's busy. Because we're only going to be taking a limited amount of weddings per year. And when I say limited, I'm talking about 25 to 30 weddings per year.
Okay.
Doesn't sound like a lot. It is a lot, a lot, because there was logistically so much to do. And then, of course, we do events during the week.
Sure.
Obviously the corporate events during the week to fill in. But I literally want Steele Orchid to be the premier go-to florals for big events.
Yeah.
I really want to get into hotel art.
Okay.
You know how hotels have these high-end hotels have these spectacular things as you walk in. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that's me. I'd love to do a lot more runway work, outfitting, models with huge headdresses of florals or florals anywhere on the body. I'd love to do more retail windows, Boyd's windows, or want to make, going by and seeing like, I want to go into that store. That's what I want to do. So I want big, 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 big.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're thinking big, and I know it's going to happen for you.
I hope so.
Yeah, for sure. I know. All right. So I am so glad that you sat down with me. I want you to remind everyone how they can contact you.
Yes. They can contact Steele Orchid at www.steeleorchid.com or mostly on Instagram, which is Steele_Orchid, STEELE_orchid.
Okay. Do you have a contact form on your website
Yes.
that folks can use?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. All right. So I'm going to circle back to the question at the beginning
Yes.
about your signature cocktail or mocktail.
Okay. So this is the only question I came prepared.
Okay.
And my cocktail is called Badass Bitch Martini.
Oh my God, I love it.
And it consists of 3 ounces of the top shelf vodka.
Okay.
Like really, really, really expensive, good vodka.
Has to be.
1 ounce of Don't Take No for an Answer.
Okay.
All right. You got to have that in
Gotta
there.
have it.
1 dash of bitters. 1 ounce of Don't Take Shit from Anybody. Okay. 1 ounce of simple syrup to kind of take the bitterness off.
A little sweetness.
Yeah. A sprinkle of red pepper flakes for spiciness.
Okay.
Stir it up. Get it all together. Little edible flowers. Or, whatever.
Or whatever you want to do.
On top. And then you've got your badass bitch cocktail.
I love it.
Yeah.
Wow, what a recipe. You do love a recipe.
Woohoo!
All right, so let's close things out with a toast. What should we drink to?
It's tremendous success in the future.
I love it.
Yep.
Cheers.
You're wonderful.
No, you're wonderful. That was great. I love it.
Woohoo!